second form of motivation with three parents. Refuge field. Bodhicittas and Bodhicittas. Usually it's Bodhicittas. It's already listed down. Ali Majushu, Ali Vishvara, Ali Maitreya, Ali Vaishrapan, Ali Samudibhatra, Ali Vishidigarbha, Ali Akashagarbha, Ali Tara, Ali Nagarjuna, Ali Deva, Bodhicittas, Acharya Nalabodhi, Acharya Chedakirti, Bodhisattva Deva, Bodhisattva Rakshita, Acharya Kamalishya, Acharya Sangha, Acharya Vasubandhu, Acharya Vignaga, Acharya Dharmakirti, Lama Siddhampa, Lama Additionnaly, and all the enlightened beings. And how you visualize them. They're like a very affectionate parents, and imagine that you come home demoralized. After being bullied by the other children at school, and your parents are waiting there with your full love, affection, attention, and so forth. Bodhicittas field, what to visualize and how to visualize. Visualize your two parents going into science, and all of them members, including your children, in here in France, all sentient beings in this world, in this universe. And how you visualize them. Here you're the mother, and all of these other children, and imagine they come home demoralized, and you are there to give full love, affection, attention, and embrace, to the extent that each one of them feels themselves, especially in your eyes. And the purpose of this practice is to awaken the seed of perfection within each one of us. And this gold light in the Buddha nature, the ultimate treasure of happiness that exists within each one of us. Although it is there, why it is not visible now? Like a gold when mixed with the soil, though the nature of the gold is to glow, but it doesn't glow because of the presence of the soil. So as we remove the soil gradually, the gold itself starts to glow. Likewise, the beautiful Buddha nature, the seed of perfection, the seed of infinite happiness, the seed of fearlessness, is obscured by the mental defilements. To remove the mental defilements, we need to know the nature of the mental defilements. And to know the nature of the defilements, we see that it's of two kinds, the gross and the subtle. The gross one referred to as the afflictive obscurations, the presence of which blocks us from achieving total fearlessness. And the subtle stains, also referred to as the cognitive obscurations, block us from achieving full awakening or infinite happiness. And knowing that afflictive obscurations is of three kinds, contaminant karmas, the gross afflictions, but afflictions and the active seeds. And all these somehow are connected with the ignorance, precisely self-grasping ignorance. And the cognitive obscurations consist of the subtle inactive seeds of the afflictive obscurations. To get rid of these, your final liberating path is the wisdom of emptiness. it must be the wisdom of emptiness to be cultivated, without which, no matter what practice one does, even the high yoga tantra and so forth, there's no way by which we can get out of samsara at all. No matter what practice, the practice of the high yoga tantra, the highest tantra of the Sakya, Gaipi, Nyuma, Giluk, no matter what practice that you do, there's no freedom from the, let alone achieving Buddhahood, even to achieve enlightenment with the awakening. In terms of the nirvana will not be achieved. Freedom from samsara is not possible. So for that matter, this wisdom of emptiness must be cultivated. We are so fortunate that in this life, somehow we are connected with the teaching of the wisdom of emptiness. We must make the most. Just see how somehow I get the experience of emptiness. This is what should be our effort. No matter where we live, no excuse. As long as we want to free ourselves from all fears of life. This is the way, the wisdom of emptiness. And of course, today you're going to know about this. That just as we study more into the emptiness, you're going to realize that without wisdom of emptiness, there's no way by which we can come out of samsara. And this wisdom of emptiness must be supported by the driving force. For any work, there must be the driving force of the passion that makes things happen. For to eradicate the afflictive obscurations, which is of course the grosser one, the wisdom of emptiness is employed, but driven by the force of renunciation. And to remove the cognitive obscurations along with the afflictive obscurations, the same wisdom of emptiness is employed, but driven by the force of the incredibly precious mind Bodhicitta, which is supported by the wisdom, which is supported by great compassion, grounded on renunciation. So with this aspiration, imagine that you are leading this and you are taking along with you all the sentient beings with you, including two parents and all your children. But with that in mind, let's turn to page 3. And teach with great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views, to use the Buddha Dharma at your homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views, to use the Buddha Dharma at your homage. And teach by great compassion, you taught the Immaculate Dharma to dispel all perverted views, to use the Buddha Dharma at your homage. Sanye yola zoye shona pa chanchu bandu danye jansu chi dake jinso gebe sonangi rola benche sanye dupa sho sanye yola zoye shona pa chanchu bandu danye jansu chi dake jinso gebe sonangi rola benche I go for refuge until we enlighten to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Now my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha, the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of healing and so forth, may I become a Buddha, the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge and turn enlightenment to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of healing and so forth, may I become a Buddha, the benefit of all sentient beings. Independent origination, there is no ceasing, no arising, no annihilation, no permanence, no coming, no going, no separateness and no sameness. I prostrate to the Consummate Buddha, the Supreme among all teachers, the one who taught this peace which is freedom with apparitions. I prostrate to the mothers of the hearers, the Bodhisattas and the Buddhas, who through the knowledge of all these here seek me pacific complete peace, who through the knowledge of past forces also have been my greatest achievement into the world, and who through the possession of omniscience helps subdue us as part of a variety of teachings. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by others into benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Surata, and protector to your administrations. The one who has eliminated the web of conceptualizations, and is endowed with the divine bodies of the vast and profound, who eternally shines forth the forever noble light rays. To you, the Buddha, make illustrations. Inspired by wisdom and compassion, today in the Buddha's presence, I gently invite full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. Om Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhavam Hetum Desham Tathagato Yavatat Desham Chayo Nirodham Evam Vadi Mahashamanaye Swaha. All phenomena arise from causes. The causes are taught by the Tathagata. The cessation of causes is well as taught by the great seer. Profound, peaceful, elaboration, free, clear line, and composite. As discovered, finding no one who can fathom this teaching in silence or retirement to words. Beyond our terms, thought, and expression is a professional wisdom, which is ongoing, unseen, and his initial space. Is a virtual apprehension of self-realized wisdom. To you, the mother of the Buddhas of the three times of your essence. All composite things are impermanent, all contaminated things of the nature and suffering. All phenomena are the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Transcendent sorrow is peace. The Guru is the Buddha, the Guru is the Dharma, the likewise Guru is the Sangha. The Guru is the source of everything wholesome. I go for refuge to the Guru. By the sound of the vibrant drum of Dharma, you liberate all things of miseries. I beseech you to kindly remain in your teachings until the end of the expansive billions of eons. The Buddha does not wash the negatives of beings, nor does he remove their miseries by his hands. His spiritual realizations are not transferred to them. It is by teaching the truth of the suchness that the beings are liberated. With folded hands I beseech the Buddhas of all directions to shine the light of Dharma for all bewildered miseries cruel. If attached to this life, you are not a spiritual practitioner. If attached to samsara, there is no renunciation. If attached to your own self-interest, you have no bodhicitta. If there is grasping, you do not have to feel. Page 14, praise to Shakyamuni. To the founder and endowed once in the Destroyer, the one born beyond, the full Destroyer, completely perfect, full awakened being, perfect in knowledge and good conduct, Sugata, Lord of the world, supreme God of human beings to be tamed, future gods and human beings to you, the completely fully awakened one, the endowed once in the Destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, after sleep and offerings and go for refuge. When those who came amongst humans who were born on this earth, we place ourselves in strides and said unto who came in this world, to you who are wise and persuade. The pure body is formed supremely pure, which is motion like a golden mountain, fame that places in the three worlds, bring of the best Lord to you are persuade. But the supreme science deals like the spotless moon, color like gold to you are persuade. Thus be like you, the three worlds are not, incomparable wise one to you are persuade. The Savior having great compassion, having all understanding, the pure merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you the Tathagata persuade. The purity that frees one from attachment, the Buddhist that frees one from the lower realms, the one path is the one pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies that persuade. Those who are liberated can also show a path to liberation, the holy few qualified with realizations, Or according to the moral precepts, to you the Sangha is great. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions, perform only perfect virtuous actions, secure mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew or bubble, a dream of flash of lightning, clouds, see conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all seeing, subdue the four faults and be delivered from samsara's solution, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. On page 29, I prostrate to the iron Trupajaya. Thus they were here at one time, the Buddha was dwelling on the Lotus mountain in Kalachakra, together with a great community of monks and a great community of Bodhicittas. At that time, the Buddha was absorbed in concentration on the categories of phenomena or profound illumination. Looked upon the very practice of the profound illumination of wisdom and beheld both categories also as empty inherent in nature. Then to the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shareputra said this to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Peshwara, or to any child of lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound professional wisdom training. He said that in the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Peshwara, Shareputra, any son of the lineage or daughter of the lineage who wishes to practice the activity of profound professional wisdom should look upon it like this, correctly and repeatedly beholding those varieties also as empty in nature. Form is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is no other than form, form is also no other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composite factors, and consciousness is empty. Shareputra, all phenomena are empty, without characteristic, unproduced, unceased, stainless, not without stain, not deficient, not fulfilled. Shareputra, therefore, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no visual form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no change, and no phenomenon. There is no eye element and so on after it, including no mind element and no mental consciousness element. There is no ignorance, no extinction of ignorance, and so on after it, including no aging and death, and no extinction of aging and death. Similarly, there is no suffering or origination, cessation of path. There is no result of wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Shareputra, therefore, because there is no attainment, Bodhisattvas rely on and dwell professional wisdom, the mind without obscuration and thus without fear. Having completely passed beyond error and reached the end point of nirvana, all the Buddhas who dwell in the different times also manifest the complete awakening, unsurpassable, perfect, complete enlightenment in the lines of the professional wisdom. Therefore, the mantra of the professional wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the mantra of equal approach, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering should be known as truth since it is not false. The mantra of the professional wisdom is declared, Ayatao, Gati Gati Bara Gati Bara Sambhati Bodhi Swaha. Shareputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound professional wisdom like that. The Buddha arose in their concentration and commanded the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Peshwara. Thus said son of the lineage, it is like that, it is like that. One should practice the profound professional wisdom just as you indicated, even the Arhata that you chose. The Buddha, having thus spoken, the Venerable Shareputra, the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Arya Peshwara, was surrounding the entirety, along with the world of gods, humans, asuras, and gandharvas, were overjoyed and highly praised as spoken by the Buddha. As inside this mantra, let us visualize your parents and all dear sentient beings join you. And the Buddha is exhorting us thus: don't remain in fear of samsara. Come to us ultimate happiness by awakening the seed of Buddha energy within you. When you hear this melodious voice of the Buddha, the compassionate teacher, inform this to your two parents, to all eternal sentient beings. Look, this is what a compassionate teacher Bodhisattva is exhorting us. Let us not remain in fear of samsara anymore. Let us all come along with me. Let us all go towards ultimate happiness, ultimate infinite happiness. And everybody hearing this so happily joins you in this journey of cleansing the mind to awaken this treasure, ultimate treasure within you. With the determination to achieve the highest aim for the benefit of all sentient beings, which surpasses even the wish-fulfilling gem in more than miracle times. Whenever I interact with someone, I view myself as good as a soul, and from the very depth of my heart, respectfully hold others as superior. In all my deeds may I form into my mind, and as soon as mental and emotional afflictions arise, as they endanger myself and others, may I strongly confront and avert them. When I see things of unpleasant character, and those oppressed by strong negative suffering, I hold in care for their rare to find, as if I discover the true treasure. When others are jealously treat me wrongly with abuse, anger, and scorn, may I take upon myself the defeat and offer to others victory. When someone whom I help or into whom I place great hopes, mistreats me in extremely hurtful ways, I regard them still as my precious teacher. In brief, may I offer benefit and joy to all my mothers, both directly and indirectly. May I quietly take upon myself all the hurts and pains of my mothers. May all these remain undefiled by the same creative mundane concerns, and may I recognize all things as illusions toward obtaining the release from bondage. From my two collections, master space that I have amassed from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the shielding and good for all those whose minds were surmised blinded by ignorance. The next 7 push-up. As we recite this, just see that the 7 points are indicated. 7 points are well back in the mind, and accordingly let our mind just like you are engaged in these 7 activities yourself. Just actively be there. I bow down to the beautiful Aryan Vishri, new lines of consumers, God of freedom in the present, past, and future. In the worlds of 10 directions, to all of you with body, speech, and sincere mind, I bow down. With the energy and aspiration for the Bodhisattva way, with a sense of deep respect, and with as many bodies as atoms of the world, to all you Buddhas visualize as real, I bow down. On every atom of Buddhas numbered as atoms, each and its supposed Bodhisattvas, and unaccompanied the sphere of all phenomena, is entirely filled with the Buddha's living sway. With the infinite oceans of praise for you, oceans of sound from that for my voice, I've seen the breathtaking excellence of Buddhas and celebrate all of you Siddharthas. Beautiful flowers in vigor gardens, sweet music, extended walls and parasols, sparkling lights and sublime incense, comfort to the tourist ones of Buddhas. Fine dress and fragrant perfumes, scented with powder, utilized small meal, all one's offerings and spectacular array, offering to you the tourist ones. The 20 offerings, fearless and vast, with profound admiration for all the Buddhas, the strength of conviction in the Bodhisattva way, offering about to all the tourist ones. Every harmful action I have done, in my body, speech, and mind, all ruled by attachment, anger, and confusion, all these I openly dare and before you. I lift my heart and rejoice in all the merits of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas in 10 directions. Also to realize you are still training on those beyond, and follow another being. You who are the bright lights of words in 10 directions, who attain the Buddha's omniscient truth. Guys, please turn the Supreme Will of Dharma. With palms together, I earnestly request you who may actualize by Nirvana. Please stay with us for endless numberless actions of the world, for the happiness and well-being of all wonders in samsara. Whatever this life merited or may have been created, by making prostrations, offering and confessing, rejoicing and requesting the Buddha's stating teach, I now dedicate all this for awakening to all beings. Thank you much, Lord. This ground adorned with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with mountain, the four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a relicate and offer it. May all sentient beings enjoy this pure land. Oh, Sajinda. Becoming frustrated with ignorance, they grasp the true existence. These blessings generate genuine renunciation, seeing all aspects of samsara as viciously repulsive. These blessings, their mind flows with the precious bodhicitta and cherish of others more than myself. These blessings have an immaculate experience of the wisdom of emptiness. They does not see even an atom of intrinsic reality, or the basis of understanding how things come into being by dependent origination or mere conditioning. These blessings that my mind overflows with the precious wisdom of the non-duality of bliss and emptiness. The foundation of all good qualities. The foundation of all good qualities is the kind and perfect pure Guru. Correct devotion to him is the root of power. By clearly seeing this and applying great effort, this blessing to rely on him with great respect. Understanding that the present freedom of this rebirth is found only once, is very meaningful and is difficult to find again. This blessing will generate a mind that unceasingly day and night takes its essence. This life is as impermanent as a water bubble. Remember how quickly it decays and death comes. After that, just like a shadow follows the body, the result of virtues and non-virtues time of water. I am departing that many conviction in this. Please try to be always be careful. The light in this life is negativity. I control all of those deeds. Samsara splendors are satisfying and reliable. Seeking them is the door of all suffering. Every night generate strongest for the bliss of liberation. Led by the spirit called the mindfulness, alertness, and great quotient arise. The root of the teaching is keeping the project of the house. It is best to accomplish this essential practice. Just as I fall into the sea of samsara, so that all other migratory beings. These lessons see this journey supreme bodhicitta and better responsibility to free migratory beings. Even up to lot of bodhicitta, but I don't practice the three types of morality, unlimited and enlightenment. With my clear recognition of this lets me to practice the bodhisattva life with great energy.
One sacrifices his practice from others.
I create an everlasting meaning to reality. This lets me to generate quickly within my mind stream, the unified part of Kama Body expression inside. Having become a pure vessel by training in the general path, this lets me to enter the holy gateway of fortunate ones, the supreme Vajra vehicle. At that time, the basis of accomplishing true attendance is keeping pure ones in Samaya. As I become firmly convinced of this, it lets me to take these paths and pledge to life my life. Then, having realized the importance of two stages, the essence of Vajrayana, I practice with clear energy, never given for 4 sessions. These lets me to realize the teachings of the Holy Guru. I thank many Gurus who showed me the path, and the spiritual friends who practice in long lives. These lets me to classify completely what all the ignorances. In all my lives, never separated from one of her Gurus, I enjoy the magnificent Dharma by completing the qualities of the stations in the past and connecting and saving the Dharma. So, Matra will recite the said English verse. Translation. You are Bodhicittas, great treasure of compassion, loving the true existence, and usually master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrayana, destroyer of all the demons without exception. So far, conjure of the stage of blamelessness, of Sanjaya to free thy make frustrations. Great treasure, compassion not aimed at true existence, and Manjushri, master of flawless wisdom, as well as Vajrapani, destroyer of all the demons without exception, Sankara, crown your realization of light and snows, thus Sanjava, your feet and make prostrations. generating the model cosmic yoga, for that we have 4 meditations. The first single body meditation, followed by renunciation, Bodhicitta, Geshe Damdul, and then finally taking the aspiration for something. Okay. The first meditation, single body meditation, ready? 5 minutes. Okay, so today I'm going to give the instruction, and then from tomorrow, the instructions. The meditation is of 2 kinds. Analytical meditation and single body meditation. The whole purpose of meditation is to bring about transformation in one's mind. Transformation from the state of roughness of the mind to the very supple, the agile, the full of wisdom and compassion. This is the whole purpose of meditation. For that matter, to bring about this stability, this transformation, it requires 2 things. One is that the mind should have the full of information, and the mind should have the rigor and the sharpness. This is one part, and then for that matter we need the analytical meditation. And then while this mind has the wisdom cultivated or generated, and this wisdom must be very steady. The steadiness is also required. For that matter, we need the single body meditation, also referred to as the shamatha meditation. So both are required. The practice of renunciation, bodhicitta, wisdom meditations, they are all the analytical meditations. So what we are doing here in 5 minutes is the single body meditation. For that matter, 4 points to keep in mind. One is the body posture, focal point, then the errors of meditation, and then finally applying the remedies to overcome the errors. The first, the body posture. Body posture, see if you can sit cross-legged. Left foot on your right leg, and right foot on your left leg. If you can sit in this position, well, good. If not, don't worry. Whereas if you can, then in the long run this will be very helpful. And whereas if you cannot do that, you can practice it unless you have knee problems, back problems, so forth. Otherwise, if you don't have such problems, you can practice it. And the moment you start to feel the pain, don't resist the pain. Simply let go, release the legs, and let yourself feel comfortable. The moment the pain is gone, again bring back the position, and this is how we will get used to this. Then the backbone should be upright. Unless you have the backache problem, it's advised not to lean against any support. Whereas if you do have back problem, some problem with the back, then you can lean against the support. That's not a problem. Otherwise, try best not to lean against the support, and the back must be upright. This is so important. And the head tilted forward a little bit. And the most important thing, eyes not closed. Eyes half open, 45 degrees cast down. And it is your mental consciousness which is meditating, not your eye consciousness. And the tip of the tongue should touch the upper palate to avoid excessive accumulation of saliva in mouth. And breathe naturally. Don't force your breath, don't control your breath. And the teeth and lips in natural state. And the right hand on the left hand. And the tips of the 2 thumbs joining, the 2 thumbs standing, the tips joining, forming a triangle. Place the 2 hands on the laps in restful state. Okay, this is your body posture. Focal point. What we're going to meditate is on a tiny dot, tiny white dot, which is 1 mm or 2 mm in diameter, between nose and upper lip. So while you focus your mind there, multitasking, just counting breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Cycle 1, breathe in, breathe out. Second two, don't follow the breath. Follow the breath meaning that now my breath has entered through my nostrils, now going through the chakras, the central channel. No, don't follow the breath. Simply count the breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Second one, breathe in, breathe out. Second two, this is what we're going to do for up to 5 minutes. And in case, in between, you lost track of the number, you lost track of the count, start from the beginning, from 0. Okay, this is what we're going to do. This is your 4 point. Number 3 and number 4 are so important. Number 3, the errors of meditation. Errors of meditation. For any meditation, anybody, whatever meditation that you're doing, we are bound to have these, faced with these 2 errors. Mental laxity and mental excitement. Mental laxity is the inactivity of your mind. The mental excitement is the overactivity of your mind. Where the mind feels sleepy, sinking, lethargic, heavy. This is the inactivity of the mind. This is mental laxity. This is one problem, one error. The other one is the mental excitement. Your overactivity of the mind. Your mind is scattered here and there. These 2 are problems. And then we are bound to go through these 2 problems. Should we go through these 2 problems? No need to worry. Just apply. I'll go for number 4. Number 4 is so important. And identifying these 2 problems and going for number 4, this is perfect. Whereas if you identify the problems and if you don't go for number 4, that's a problem. To have the laxity and excitement is not really a problem. The real problem is when you identify that you have these problems and you don't apply the remedies, this is the greatest problem. So we have to apply the remedies. Number 4, remedies, the introspection and mindfulness. So where once in a while you have to check your mind to see if your mind is still meditating or is already distracted or is in a relaxed state. You have to check your mind. Keep an eye on your mind. It's very important. Should you see that your mind is in a relaxed state or in the excited or scattered through employing the introspection, then you have to apply the mindfulness, bring the mind back to the intended object of the meditation. This is the mindfulness. Okay, with that mind, 5 minutes ready. Okay, for the meditation, any problem? Any questions? Any questions? Okay, yes.
Like your eyes going, like being a mirror in front of you, and your attention to the white spot, it kind of doesn't work. And like, how does it work?
Okay, so this is the question that I'm awaiting. Yeah. Okay, so your eyes are there in front of you, for example, your table, the books, and so forth, and you're thinking, you're focusing on the white dot, windows upper lip. How does it work? The mind is split into two. You're right. So the eye consciousness is following what is in front. The mental consciousness, habitually, mental consciousness dominantly, it follows the eye consciousness. So now, but it's not always the case. There are times where our mental consciousness can be separated from the eye consciousness. For example, you are looking at me, suddenly there's an earthquake. Your eyes are cast on me, but your mind will be so scared, thinking of something else. So your mental consciousness can be separated from the eye consciousness. That is possible. But generally speaking, we want it. When we want the mental consciousness to be separate from the eye consciousness, it does not. Mental consciousness follows the eye consciousness. When we don't want it, it will separate. When we don't want, for example, hey, pay attention to me, and your eyes are just cast there, and your mind is going to shopping malls, all these things. So it is very possible. So when we want it, the mind will not behave. When we don't want it, the mind will do it. So therefore now we have to train in such a way that when we want it, the mind listens to us. Mental consciousness listens to us. So for that matter, this is training. When unconsciously 4 or 5 is cast down, you keep focusing on this, and your eyes, your mental consciousness will again go up to the eyes. Again focus it here. The moment you think of the white, the moment you're able to think of the white, your mind is already pulled from the eye consciousness temporarily. So this is how we train. And gradually, eye consciousness 4 or 5 is cast down, but your mental consciousness will listen to us. Gradually, it will take time. Good. Yes?
Is it the same problem with counting? Because seeing the white dot while counting, it's two things, so it's two focal points.
Okay, this is a good question. Thank you. So, this is known as multitasking. Multitasking. So, how it works? Yes, it will work. But it is also very good at multitasking. The boys are not so good at multitasking. This is how the scientists are saying. So multitasking is very possible. But then philosophically, logically, if somebody asks me, how does the multitasking happen? Because both tasks must be done by the mental consciousness. The counting as well as the visualizing must be done by the mental consciousness cannot do two things at one point. Okay. So if this is a question, then what happens is that we are, for example, like how we cook food. We are cooking 2 foods simultaneously. One here, one there. And the gas stove, you do it, 2 foods simultaneously, but you are not touching the 2 foods at the same time. One after the other, but very fast. And then 2 foods will eventually come together. So this is possible. It's possible. Okay, good. So one warning that I'd like to give you is that for such meditations, particularly single point meditation, for example, like this clock, this is not a good clock. You know why? It makes the sound. Tick, 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 tick. This is very disturbing. So, in the meditation, it is said that the sound of the water flowing, particularly the rough sound, not the very gentle sound, but the rough sound. Some of the rivers are very forceful, and the sound is extremely disturbing. Like this extremely disturbing sound, it is advised not to do meditation close to such places. So the sound, very intermittent sound, is disturbing. For example, like a fan. The general fan is fine. It will make a continuous sound. That's fine. Continuous sound, the flow of the sound is there, just like the fan sound, that's fine. But the sound, the intermittent sound, that is very disturbing, number one. Number two, if you use the fan, then the tablecloth, some cloths are around you, these cloths they move, that is very disturbing. Because we are not really expert in meditation yet. So therefore, these things, like the intermittent sound and the intermittent movements of things must be avoided. Okay, good. Next is renunciation. Renunciation practice we're going to do on the basis of the practice of the 4 seals. 4 seals, for the next 3 days I'll give the instruction, and then after that no instruction. For the next 3 days we're going to follow the guided meditation. It's known as guided meditation. Your job is meditate by following the instructions and trying your best to invoke the respective experiences. This is your job. And so there, while following the instructions, make sure that you also learn something. Learn how to reflect, what kind of points to bring in a meditation. For the analytical meditation, what is so important is that you should be very rich in the materials to reflect on. For that matter, whatever the guidance or instructions that I'm giving, not only just follow this and try to register this in your mind, so that later on the 3rd or the 4th day, I may not you may not do the guided meditation, you simply do it on your own. So you should be able to do it by oneself, on your own, without any instructions. Okay, so this is a guided meditation. For the guided meditation, your job is don't ruminate over the past experiences. Don't anticipate anything of the future. Detach yourself from engaging with the 5 sensory objects. Be in the present moment, simply follow the instructions and try to make the experience as rich as possible. Try to invoke the experience to the best you can. Okay, this is what we're going to do. The practice of the 4 vegetables. Ready? 4 seals. As the means to generate renunciation. Okay, for the renunciation practice, there are various forms, but all these methods, for example, learning practices, so forth, they are there, but they are all taken out from the 4 seals, the Buddha's teachings. So you need to do 4 seals. Ready? Sit upright properly. For the analytical meditation, you can close your eyes, is not a problem as such. For the single point meditation, you should keep your eyes open. For the analytical, you can keep your eyes closed, eyes open, up to you. Renunciation. This is the ground for following the path. Without the sense of renunciation, the initial, the beginning, the part of the path is missing. So this is so important. To start a path, renunciation is indispensable. The renunciation, the meaning of renunciation is not to renounce the happiness, but to renounce the suffering, renounce the miseries, renounce the pain. to renounce the pain. The mantra which we recited, Ye Dharma Hetu Prabhava. These phenomena, they arise from the causes, they don't arise randomly. So, if we have to renounce the miseries, we need to know how to renounce the causes of the miseries. And the best way by which to renounce causes of miseries is by reflecting on the 4 seals. The first seal, all composite things impermanent. The beautiful days that you had when you were young, when you were aged 5, when you were aged 3 in the mother's labs. The mother so lovingly look at you with such a smile, total focus on you, everything invested on you. And you feel like crying, your mother is there to console you, to caress you, to give you a smile. All these beautiful moments are gone now. They are gone for good. 2018, some of the days, some of the weeks were so beautiful. They are now gone forever. Beautiful times you had with your parents, with your relatives, with your friends, with your colleagues. They're all gone now. Beautiful times in your school when you were once very young. They're all gone. And beautiful spring is bound to be ended with the very cold, here in France, very cold, and the autumn and winter. This is a fact. 200 years ago, what we are doing here, what people are doing in France, in the world today, the same was being done, same was happening 200 years ago as well. My parents were there, children were there, school teachers were there, students were there, and the governments were there, the subjects were there. Today, not even a single person from that time is alive today. Whether rich, poor, educated, uneducated, young, old, all are gone. And many people those days have so much a plan for their life. I have this thing to do, that thing to do, and so much a plan. In the process, so much anxiety, stress, and so forth. Now whether the plans are accomplished or not, although the plans, people are all gone, even those people themselves are gone. Guaranteed not even a single person is left today. They're all gone. If those people have done something virtue, that is something they can take with them in the future. Otherwise, all material wealth, they are just left aside. Positions, the power and so forth, they're all gone. Believe it or not, 200 years from now in the future, the 7 billion human beings who existed today, guaranteed not a single person is going to be left dead. We're all going to disappear. And many people have so much expectations on their children. And my generation, my family, my clan should continue. After 200 years, after 300 years, 4th generation, 5th generation, 6th generation will come. They will not even remember who we are. Forget about remembering, they will have no clue of our names even. And yet, we have the feeling that my lineage, my clan, my family lineage, and so forth. It's just we live in a world of illusion. How much you love your children, the children will not love you as much. The children, they have their own children to take care of. And your grandchildren will not love you, even your children, they will love their own great-grandchildren who grandchildren. This is how the world operates. And yet we live in a world of illusion. And after 20 years, 99% of the people of this earth, the people of this earth will not even be remembered by the generation then. 2,500 years ago, now we can remember the Buddha. 2,000 years ago, now we can remember Jesus. And not 1,000 years ago, we remember the Prophet Muhammad, and so forth. Otherwise, these are just a handful of the beings on this earth. The rest, where did the rest of the people go? Where did they go? They don't have a clue that they existed. Forget about their names, forget about the connection, forget about the experience and so forth. This is impermanent. And any experience that you might have in your life which is so striking, so vivid, so striking in your life of impermanence, it is worth bringing into this reflection, bringing into this visualization, bringing into contemplation, to reinforce a conviction in the reality of impermanence, of the world, of yourself. This is known as gross impermanence. And this, to feel this gross impermanence, for this gross impermanence to operate, there must be subtle impermanence operating beneath that. Without these subtle changes happening beneath that, the gross impermanence is not at all possible. The change, the tree that you see having grown to 10 feet tall within 10 years is only possible if the tree was growing one foot every year. 1 foot tall is only possible only if the growth is taking place 1 inch per month. 1 inch growth is possible only if the change is happening. The growth is taking place on a daily basis. And the change within 1 day is possible only if there's a change happening on the hourly basis, minute basis, second basis. The moment the change comes to the second level, the change is quite visible. And the change that you see in the second level is possible only if there's a change happening on the millisecond level, where this is like 1 second split in 1,000, so fast. This is the reality of the all composite phenomena. Your body, your mind, the earth, the house in which we live, your parents, your partners, your children, everyone is moving so fast. If you are ready to get this experience, there's no room for us to feel attached to anything. Because the object to which we feel attached to, the moment we go to stretch out our hands to get it, that object is already gone. And the moment you get something and try to relish or to try to partake in this, the moment it reaches you, it's a very different object. It's not the one which you were, the one which you desire. This is a very powerful meditation, and this is the reality of all the composite phenomena. Be it your body, your mind, your friends, your parents, your children, your house, your car. Every composite phenomena should necessarily undergo this momentary change. If this is how things move so fast, where is this impermanence taking me? Of the fast train, where is it taking me? Imagine a stranger simply picks you up, forcefully picks you up and throws you in a very fast moving train. You will be greatly in fear. Where is this train taking me? The faster the train moves, the more the fear. Where is this train taking me? That is determined by the driver. If the driver is your mother or your father, no doubt this train will take you to picnic spot. Whereas the driver is a terrorist, no doubt will take you to a torture house or a slaughterhouse. Unfortunately, in our case, while the driver's own mind, that his mind is under the dictate, under the force, under the control of the two demons, self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude. As long as our mind is under the dictate of these two demons, the worst of contaminations, self-grasping ignorance, self-centered attitude, this mind does not have any power, any freedom to take you to a picnic spot. It will only take you to the slaughterhouse of the sufferings. This is what the Buddha indicated as all contaminated things are suffering nature. Whatever is under the domination, whatever is under the influence of contaminations, the worst of which are the self-grasping and the self-centered attitude, will only take us to miseries. This is reality. We are moving so fast. The body is moving so fast. Our mind is moving so fast. The whole world is moving so fast. Towards what? Towards death. Towards miseries. Miseries like what? Sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, anxiety, anguish, lamentation, the pain of losing near and dear ones and so forth, the pain of getting what you don't want, the pain of attracting all fears, the pain of getting separated from your near and dear ones, the pain of getting separated from what you want. This is the reality of suffering. This is the reality of the impermanence, the corpuscular phenomenon. Being under the domination of the contaminations, this impermanence will only take us to suffering. And this suffering we reflect one by one. We say it's so agonizing, so painful. And when will this pain stop? It will never stop on its own. And in fact, one moment of this pain is good enough. Wise people will foresee this pain, and the ordinary people, unwise people, will see the pain only when the person is hit by these pains directly. Until the pain hits the individual, we cannot foresee them, and so therefore we will be intoxicated by the contaminated happiness. And this contaminated happiness, these are the baits, so that you don't foresee the suffering which is going to befall you. So this bait deceives us. So therefore this is such a vicious suffering, the bait. And wise people will foresee these problems, foresee these agonizing pains. In fact, one moment of the pain is good enough to nullify all the past moments of the merriments, festivities, joy, celebration, wedding, and so forth. One moment of suffering is good enough to nullify all these festivities to be seen as so hollow, shallow, gloomy, dark. This is a reality. But when will this problem come to an end? I'm so tired, indeed. It's so tiring to see that. If I'm not wise, when these tragedies actually strike me, I'll be in shock, agonizing shock. I don't want to go through this shock. If I'm wise, I can foresee all these perpetuating pains. It's so agonizing. When will these problems come to an end? 2018 already came to an end automatically. Likewise, when will these problems come to an end? They will never come to an end on their own. Unless until you put an effort. What kind of effort? For that we have to remember the very wise and very compassionate teaching of the Buddha. Ye dharma hetu prabhava. All these phenomena, particularly the composite, the suffering phenomena, they arise from the causes, they don't arise randomly. The wise people will track the cause and cut the cause to cut the sufferings. What is the cause? The cause is so well indicated by the Buddha and our Nagarjuna. The ceasing of karmas and afflictions leads to nirvana. Karmas and afflictions arise from the inappropriate tension, which in turn arises from the elaboration of self-grasping ignorance. It is the wisdom of emptiness that the elaboration of the self-grasping ignorance will start. Okay, these are the causes of the suffering. Returning karmas, gross afflictions, inappropriate tension, and the self-grasping ignorance. Finally, to get rid of the suffering altogether, the root must be cut. The root is self-grasping ignorance. How can we cut this root, self-grasping ignorance? Yes, by introducing the counterforce. Just to eliminate the cold, we have to introduce the heat. To eliminate the heat, we have to introduce the cold. Likewise, to eliminate this ignorance, the only way by which to get rid of this ignorance is by introducing the counterforce. What's the counterforce? The wisdom of emptiness. What is the wisdom? What is this wisdom? This wisdom is the discerning mind whose apprehension of the object tallies with the reality. What's the reality? The reality is indicated by the Buddha as the third seal. Everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Until one studies, reflects and meditates on this third seal, there is no way by which somebody can be liberated from something altogether. Whether we like it or not, this is the way. What is the self? What is meant by everything is emptiness and selflessness? Okay, let's quickly meditate on emptiness of the self. What are you doing? I'm meditating. What is your body doing? My body is in a meditative state. Okay. And how does this person appear to you? Like a dream? Or so solidified, so objective, so objectified there? Of course, not like a dream, not created by your mind. It's so solid, independent of a dream, independent of the mind. It's so objectified there, so solid, so solidly there. Okay, this is mistaken. This is the self-grasping theories. To view, to think that this self exists so independently, so objectified, so solidified there. This is self-grasping theories. How can you know that this is self-grasping? How can I know that this is how can I know that this is not the valid mind? How can I know that this self doesn't really exist that way? How can I know that? Yes. If this self, if this I truly exists as so objectified, not coming from a mind, but purely objectified, remember what Nagarjuna said. If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If the mirage were to be water, why not those close by the mirage see water? If you see somebody, if you see me from 1 kilometer away distance, you see me in water, to verify to evaluate whether I'm in water or not, or what you see just a mirage, the only way by which to do so is you come closer to us from where you see the water. Coming closer to us from where you see the water, you see that it's totally dry, there's nothing really, there's water. From this you deduce that what you earlier saw as water was just a mirage. All coming from a mind as a mirage. The water, mirage scenes of water, created the impurity, created by my mind, exaggerated by my mind. Likewise, if this person, if this I will exist objectively, as we go closer to this object, we should be able to find this person. Okay, let us go closer to this object now. Go closer to yourself. Just whatever is not the self, we don't know that. Because we're interested only to see that the self exists from the object side. Going close to the object, we see a very thin layer of the skin. Of course, this is not keep it aside. Behind that is the fatty tissues. It is also not keep it aside. Behind that is the muscles and the cartilages. These are not the self. Keep it aside. Then the bones, the skeleton. That is all. Of course, that is not me. This skeleton is so scary to look at. I'm not that scary. So this is not me. Keep it aside. And the heart, the lungs, the liver, the gallbladder, intestine, the spleen, the kidney, the stomach. None of these solid parts is me. These solid parts of me is consisted of the aggregate of, they consist of the element of earth. So within my body, the element of earth, the solid part, these are not me. Keep them aside. What is left now? The water, element of water, the blood which is pumped in and out by the heart from different parts of the body. Of course, it is not me. We can go into the blood transfusion and the transplant of the blood dialysis, which means that our blood is removed completely and new blood being put inside, which means this eye, but this eye is not a new eye coming, it's the same eye, same cell. So therefore even this element of water is also not being kept aside. Next element of fire, the body heat. Of course body heat is not me. Body heat increases and decreases, but I don't increase or decrease. Even the body heat, element of fire is also not being kept aside. Element of air that I breathe in and out through my nostrils, through the help of the lungs. Of course, that is not me. Keep that aside. Element of space. Space of vacuum in nature. I'm a strong person. If you explore this self, I'm made of billions of atoms, and the atoms are essentially vacuum in nature. The space occupied between the electrons and the nucleus is far, far, far bigger than the space occupied by the electrons or the protons and neutrons. So essentially, what we see as a physicality, what we see as a physical body, is nothing but just a vacuum. So this vacuum, which is referred to as the element of space, this vacuum in nature, whereas I'm solid in nature, so therefore this even the space also not being given aside. What is left now? Only the mind is left, only consciousness is left. So if this consciousness or the element of the mind is also not me. I'm a male, I'm a female. My mind does not have a gender. Gender is posited on the basis of the body. So therefore, one. And number two, people can see me. People cannot see my body, see my mind. So therefore, even the element of consciousness, element of mind is also not going to keep that aside. What is left now? Nothing is left there. To my amazement, nothing is left there. Stay in this experience for a while. Nothing is left. We have now come too close to this object. We're going to come too close to the object. This person disappears. It is empty. This is not what your mind is exaggerating. This is what your mind is in the discovery. Your mind is discovered that closer you go to this object, this person, referred to as the I, disappears. Whereas this I is not there. Bring back the 6 elements. Which of the 6 elements is the self? No, none. Then it may be different from these 6 elements. Remove the 6 elements, what is left there is the self. Nothing's left there. So to my amazement, I discover that going closer to the object, there's nothing as a self there. This is the meaning of the emptiness of objectivity of the person. The person is objectively, it is empty. Stay in this experience for a while. This is the meaning of everything is of the nature of emptiness and selflessness. Although this can be very gross, very coarse for the time being, this is a very good starting point. This is how we have to begin our journey of meditative emptiness. Amazing.
this meditation? Yes. Just as when this person is subjected to this analysis, this self, this I disappears. Likewise, any other object, if subjected to the same analysis, will see that even these objects cannot sustain this analysis, they will all disappear, including sickness, aging, death, tension, depression, and so forth. All these problems of the life, if we subject them to this analysis, they will also disappear. If you're able to see them in the light of emptiness, that they disappear, instantly what bothers your mind, what disturbs your mind will stop, and the peace of mind will just flare within you, that peace of mind. A great tranquility will come to you. In this experience of emptiness, all disturbances, sickness, aging, death, all the undesirable things dissolve. All the mental agitation dissolves. All mental disturbance dissolves. This is the meaning of transcendence of sorrow. When the sorrow dissolves, when the mental disturbance dissolves, the peace automatically blossoms. The peace automatically exudes. Absolute peace exudes. This is the fourth seal. Transcending sorrow is absolute peace. Stay in this experience for a while. Now, genuinely seeking this experience of emptiness where all these miseries dissolve. This experience of the aspiration to achieve that state of the experience of emptiness where all the suffering dissolves is known as the renunciation. This is the truest, this is the meaning of renunciation in its truest form. This is the final understanding of what renunciation means. Seeking to achieve that experience of the emptiness where all the miseries dissolve. And this experience of emptiness, where all the miseries dissolve, is nirvana. It's the nirvana in its truest form. And the aspiration to achieve that state is the renunciation in its truest form. In the subtlest version, the most refined version of understanding of renunciation is this aspiration to achieve that state of the peace, experience of the emptiness where all the miseries dissolve. Okay, slowly come out of this meditation, come out. Okay, next we will move to Bodhicitta practice. Okay, ready? Bodhicitta practice is to cultivate the infinite happiness. Is to cultivate the unconditional love. And this unconditional love, the opposing factor of the unconditional love is the self-centered. It's the self-centered attitude. So we have to. This practice is primarily focused to eradicate the self-centered attitude. Okay, with this in mind, ready? Okay, sit up properly. This practice is something so precious, and yet it is quite this is something which, a journey which we never took before, because of which we need a tremendous support, the greatest of the support of which is the three jewels. We seek the support for Buddhist Bodhisattvas. Reinforce the visualization of Buddhist Bodhisattvas in front of you. They're so loving, so caring, so happy to see what you're doing today. And reinforce the visualization of your two parents and all the family members, including children, and all sentient beings living on the side around you. And they feel so comfortable, yes. They feel so happy at home to be with you. And you're inspiring them to engage in this practice of the unconditional love of Bodhicitta. Okay. So let's mind again. This is going to be a guided meditation, the practice of the 4 immeasurables. Now we will do the. Okay. Yes, we will do the 4 immeasurables. And the table has. Okay. Yeah. Of the 4 immeasurables, we'll do the first 2. Immeasurable loving kindness. How good would it be that all my dear sentient beings, how good would it be that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. May all my dear sentient beings be endowed with happiness and the causes of happiness. I'll take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are endowed with happiness and the causes for happiness. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, like a mother, after all these many years of raising her children, today the eldest daughter and the eldest son, just aged 12 and 13, they come to the mother with so much love and affection. Mother, please take rest yourself. We are already grown up. I'll take care of my siblings. I'll also take care of you. The mother could not believe what her eldest daughter, eldest son is saying. Could not believe her ears. So, after being tired, after all these many years of struggle to raise the children, today the eldest daughter, eldest son, when she is saying that, very loving, a sense of responsibility. The mother could not believe her eyes, believe her ears. Automatically breaks down into tears out of joy. This is exactly what all the Buddhist Bodhisattvas are feeling today, that you made such a gracious commitment. This intense love and affection, the pride the Buddhist Bodhisattvas feel towards you, invoke their compassionate omniscient minds to send forth nectars and restricting lights towards you and to all different sentient beings. The mere touch and realize the nectars with the Buddhist beings of yours instills in all happiness and cause of happiness in the minds of sentient beings yourself. And you witnessing such a miracle is happening to us all, different sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths, sigh with relief. Immeasurable compassion. Immeasurable compassion. How good would it be that all the dear sentient beings are free from suffering and the causes of suffering. Cause of suffering prominently consists of self-grasping ignorance and self-centered attitude, and the offshoots in the form of cross-afflictions and the contaminant karma. May all my dear sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. I will take the responsibility that all my dear sentient beings are free from suffering and the cause of suffering. The Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they are so proud and happy to see that we make such a gracious commitment. This intense pride and happiness that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas experience invoke the compassionate omniscient minds to send from nectars and sweet lights to us and all different sentient beings. The mere touch of lights and nectars with the Buddhist beings of yours frees the beings, washes away all the miseries and the cause of miseries from the sentient beings to yourself. you're witnessing such a miracles happening across all the different sentient beings. You're intensely happy. Take 3 deep breaths and release. Underscoring these 2 mental states of loving kindness and compassion is unconditional love towards all sentient beings. Imagine that you are looking at the face of each of the sentient beings with total attention and focus, with so much love and affection, with a very loving eyes, to the extent that each one of the sentient beings, they feel themselves as so special in your eyes. This is a practice which is so unique of the mind practice, mind meditation. And today we are doing this with 4 attempts. With 4 attempts, let us make the beautiful commitment of Bodhicitta, commitment of the small spirit of mind of Bodhicitta, 3 times together. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear non-sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear non-sentient beings. May I become Buddha for the benefit of all my dear non-sentient beings. This is the most beautiful mind that can possibly exist on this earth. Today you have to generate this. If you're able to maintain this experience, if you're able to generate this mind as many times, as frequently, all your depression will disappear. This is a very beautiful mind, very appealing mind. Amazing. Slowly transform this beautiful mind of Bodhicitta into a spotlessly white moon disc, 1 inch or 1.5 inches in diameter, horizontally sitting in the heart. It's amazing that you made such a courageous commitment to become Buddha for all sentient beings. But don't forget that since time immemorial till today, you have never become Buddha. And imagine you squeeze a handful of sand. Can you imagine oil come out of that? Of course not. So how come that you are not like a handful of sand? Of course not. I'm not a handful of sand. I'm a handful of sunflower seeds. There is the potential of oil inside the sunflower seeds. Likewise, I have the potential for the Buddhahood, which is known as the Buddha nature. But just as the true nature of the sand river is so pure, it's never tainted. My true nature of my mind is never tainted. It's the perfect state, ultimate treasure, happiness. But since time immemorial till now, it never manifested. Why not? Yes, of course, it's all because till today I was deceived by the two demons. Self-grasping is self-centered attitude. Now I realize, now I'm disillusioned by these two demons. As long as I'm under the sway, I'm under the spell of these two demons, I will never experience this Buddhahood. And today I'm disillusioned. These two are not my friends anymore. These are my demons. I will do everything to terminate these two demons. How will you terminate two demons? Yes, these two demons are either in the form of the self-grasping ignorance or in the form of the subtle stains of the self-grasping ignorance. Okay, how can we eradicate that? By introducing the very strong counter-force. What is that powerful counter-force? The wisdom to see the reality. What is that wisdom? Quickly retrieve the experience of the third seal which we meditated earlier. Emptiness of the self. Okay, what are you doing? I'm meditating. And how does this person appear to you? As like a dream coming from the mind, or as so objectified, so solid in the air, the way the self-grasping ignorance views? Yes, of course it's seen as objective. This is not a self-grasping ignorance. This is not true. How can I know that? Okay, quickly see yourself in the light of the 6 elements. And the earth, the heart, lungs and so forth is the solid part of your body, which constitutes element earth. Element water, 4.6 liters of the blood that we have. Element of fire, the body heat, 2000 joules of energy of the body heat. Element of air, element of space, element of consciousness. Which of the 6 elements is this self? None. Then remove the 6 elements. There must be the self different from these 6 elements. Remove 6 elements. What is that? Nothing is left there. To my amazement, this self which was earlier seen as so objectively real there, now I discovered that it's not really there. It's empty. Stay in this experience for a while. And this is a fact that you've discovered. This is not what your mind is exaggerating. That this self is empty from the object. No way this self is seen from the object. This is what you've discovered. It's not what your mind is exaggerating. It's not what your mind is refining or exaggerating. Okay, slowly transform this wisdom of emptiness into a spotlessly clean white vajra, thumb-sized white vajra, vertically seated on the moon to your heart. It's amazing that you have the moon, which symbolizes the conventional bodhicitta, vajra, which symbolizes the ultimate bodhicitta, the wisdom of emptiness. The moon guarantees that your self-centered attitude is going to be exterminated. The vajra guarantees that the self-grasping ignorance and all the afflictive and the cognitive obscurations can be eradicated. It's amazing. But don't forget that all your parents, your children, all sentient beings, they are with you, they are suffering so terrible. Although you have to be wounded you now, but what about your dear mother sentient beings? They are suffering terribly. Yes, of course. With the intense love and affection towards all dear sentient beings, and this love and affection that you feel towards all dear sentient beings, invoke the Vajra moon at your heart to multiply infinite number of times. Share one set of the Vajra moon at her heart with your mother at her heart. One set of the Vajra moon at the heart of her father. One set of Vajra moon at the heart of each one of your family members, including children. One with each of the sentient beings here in the center. The animals, the insects, the hell beings, the hungry ghouls, the spirits, the god and goddesses, and all human beings. Likewise, one with each of the sentient beings in France, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. Amazing. So good that now you are taking your all-dear sentient beings along with you towards ultimate happiness. Amazing. Let us not forget that all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, they are watching us. Yes, of course. Why not we invite the Buddhist Bodhisattvas to be guests and to be the witness to our undertaking the ceremony of taking aspiration Bodhisattva vow. So as a gesture of making a request to all Bodhisattvas to be the witness to undertaking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, the ceremony of undertaking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, along with all dear sentient beings, we are slowly stand up to make 3 prostrations to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas. Okay, slowly stand up, along with imagining that all sentient beings are indeed joining you in making prostrations, 3 prostrations to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas. Okay, see if you can sit on the right knees. Those who have no problem with the knees or backing problem, just see if you can sit on your right knee. Right knee. Okay, let us turn to page 47. Let us turn to page 47. Okay, those of you who have any problem or the problem, then you can sit in the most comfortable position. Don't worry too much about this position. As you can, then you can sit on your right knee. Meanwhile, because it will take a little time, the moment you start feeling the pain, then you sit in whichever position is more comfortable for you. Okay. So this is a great opportunity. We are taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, and as I've been constantly informing you that this is a great opportunity for us to generate a very powerful virtue in the form of taking the aspiration Bodhisattva vow, and yet we don't really have to worry about the commitments. Usually the vows involve so much commitments, and here there's not really any commitment. At the most, as long as we can think of, okay, from today onwards, I'll try my best not to harm others, and I'll try my best to render service and benefit to others to the best I can. Okay, if this much you can commit yourself, you are eligible to sit, to take this aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Okay, reinforce the visualization of Bodhisattva. So loving, so caring. And imagine a very young daughter and a tender daughter aged 5 and a son aged 4. Imagine that two of them, they are for the first time in their life, they are making a public appearance of the song, dance, whatever, and the parents, they are so excited, so happy, and they just believe they take a day off to take part amidst the audience, to take part in your program, and waving the hands from the audience to tell you that we are here, we are so proud of you, and the child is a little nervous, seeing the two parents, the child is so happy and so become very confident. This is exactly, we are like the small children, and for the first time, since time immemorial till now, we are making a public appearance of virtue, great virtue. And all the Bodhisattvas, they are like our parents who are with great excitement, they are just waving their hands, they reassure us that they are there with us, that everything will be alright with you, they are so happy, so proud. It's exactly what all those Bodhisattvas they are feeling today. They are watching us, observing us, the way we requested them to be the witness and the guest. Yes, with great joy, they come to witness what we're doing today here, like the two parents. And visualize your two parents, your orphan members, your children, and all the other beings living on the side. Even the difficult people, though they are difficult, it's because they have their own problems. Let's bring them with us. With this mind, the page 47, the first stanza we read it 3 times, and we should know the meaning. And the meaning must be so well reflected, if possible, with experience. Okay, meanwhile, if you start feeling the pain, then we sit in a position whichever is most comfortable, because the thought process is the most important thing. Okay, with that mind, and the first stanza is to prepare us to take the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. So how does it prepare? Is that this included starting from taking this aspiration Bodhisattva vow, we are undertaking a very serious, very important, very precious journey of the Buddhahood. This journey. Because this journey is something which is so precious, the most important journey in this universe, So therefore, this is something which is not easy. Because it is not so easy, we need the support of it. We need incredible great support. And the greatest of the support that we can think of is the Triple Gem, the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So the first line reads, I go for refuge in the Triple Gem. So once having taken the support of the Triple Gem, then because this journey involves two things. One is the road must be clear. If the road is blocked by the border, the rocks, and the trees and so forth, you cannot continue the journey. The road must be clear. This road is none other than your own mind. This mind must be clear of the obscurations such as the Kotamic karmas and so forth. And the best way by which to remove the mental defilements is by confessing the negativities. So the second line says, I confess the negativities individually. Now the road is very clear. Even though the road is very clear, if the car does not have the fuel, again, you cannot continue the journey. So the car is none other than your mind. Your mind should be rich with the fuel, with the fuel of the virtues, with the fuel of the merits. So the best way by which to accumulate merit and the virtues, in the very easiest way, is by rejoicing in the virtues of others. So the third line says, I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. Okay, now the road is very clear, the car is enough fuel. What kind of journey are you going to undertake? I'm going to undertake the journey of Buddhahood. The fourth line says, I hold the precious Buddhahood in my heart. Okay, this we are going to say this wholeheartedly 3 times. And all sentient beings are there with you, and you are inspiring all others, and all Buddha's Bodhisattas, they are watching us. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. I go for refuge to the Triple Gem. I confess the negativities individually. I rejoice in the virtues of all the beings. I hold the precious Buddha in my heart. Okay, the next 2 stanzas is the main ceremony. So here it begins with the invoking the blessings of the Gurus, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to pay heed to you. And the next two stanzas, the first stanza is pertaining to the Buddhas, and the second stanza is pertaining to yourself. The first stanza says, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni, and all the Buddhas, they were once as ordinary as we are what we are today, but now they are no more ordinary. They have become the fully awakened one, the fully blessed one, the fully enlightened Buddha, and being able to just one person, Prince Dharma, one person. After becoming Buddha, he is able to benefit innumerable beings. How come that he was able to do that? For 2 reasons: motivation and action. He was driven with a very powerful motivation of Bodhicitta out of love for the material of sentient beings. Is motivated Bodhicitta to benefit, to become Buddha for the material of sentient beings. Very strong motivation. And number 2, the action, to materialize the aspiration of this Bodhicitta. Then he actually engaged in the Bodhisattva practices. Bodhisattva practices such as 6 perfections and 4 perfections, making total 10. Perfection of the 6 perfections: perfection of generosity, ethical discipline, patience, enthusiasm, meditative concentration, and wisdom. And the remaining 4, the perfection of the skillfulness, aspirational prayers, power, and the discriminating wisdom. So he engaged in these 10 perfections that now he becomes a Buddha and he's able to benefit innumerable sentient beings. Amazingly, a great task he's doing. Wow, this is amazing. I can also follow his footsteps. Yes, of course, you can. So the how, in 2 ways: making a very strong motivation bodhicitta, desiring to become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, cultivating this very strong motivation, and to materialize this aspiration of the bodhicitta, the aspiration of the bodhicitta. Then you also engage in the 10 perfections, the Bodhisattva practices such as 10 perfections. Okay. So this is what we're going to You to wholeheartedly say it 3 times, and during the third repetition, when you say the last 2 lines, and likewise shall I be successful for the Bodhisattva practices, imagine that you receive the Bodhisattva vow, and you just feel the enormous feeling of joy of having received the aspiration Bodhisattva vow. Okay, all those Bodhisattvas, they are watching like the way the parents are watching you during your first public appearance. Those Bodhisattvas, they are great excitement and joy, they're watching us. With great love, they're watching us. And all the dear sentient beings are following you in taking this aspiration Bodhisattva vow. I'll give it that in mind. Let's say this 3 times. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pray heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have carried the mother Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate mother Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pray heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have carried the mother Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell with the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate mother Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, please pay heed to me. Just as previous Buddhas have generated the mother Bodhicitta, and just as they successfully dwell in the Bodhisattva practices, likewise for the benefit of all sentient beings, I will generate the mother Bodhicitta, and likewise shall I too successfully follow the Bodhisattva practices. Okay, feel the joy over having received the aspiration Bodhisattva. It's amazing. This is so precious. Imagine your mother, for all these years, the mother has been only receiving complaints, getting complaints from the school principal saying that your daughter, your son is so naughty, so mischievous, and they always creating problems at school. All these many years, the mother has been hearing only the bad things about you. The mother feels so sad. Never had the moment of joy in her life. The person to you as her child. And today, for the first time, the school principal, escorted by the other staff, they come to the mother. Mother again become apprehensive. Again, what my daughter, what my son might have done, something wrong. This time it's very different. The school principal comes with a smile, so much of courtesy there. Mother could not believe what is happening today. Then the mother asked the principal, anything wrong my child did? The principal said, no. We came here to congratulate you. What for? Your son and your daughter, 2 of them, are appointed as the best students of the school for this year. The mother could not believe her eyes, could not believe her ears. This is exactly what has happened to all those Bodhisattvas today. Since time immemorial till today, we, like the very mischievous daughters and sons, we have brought only embarrassments to the Bodhisattvas, brought only sadness to the Bodhisattvas. But today you have done something so unbelievable thing. The Bodhisattvas were so proud, could not believe what you're doing today. They are so proud, so happy. This pride and happiness, this joy the Bodhisattvas feel, invoke the Vajra moon at their hearts, which is in the fully blossomed version, to multiply infinite number of times. In barrage, like in shower, this Vajra moon descend to merge with the one that you visualize at your heart, becoming non-dual, stabilized and blessed. Likewise, in Virat, all these replicas of Vajra moon from Buddha's Bodhisattvas descend to merge with the one that you visualize at your heart, the heart of your mother, and the heart of your father, and the heart of each one of your family members, including your children, and the heart of each of the sentient beings here in this place, Kalachakra Center, and the heart of each of the sentient beings in France, in the world, in the Milky Way galaxy, and in the entire universe. Okay, this is the greatest of all the gifts that you can possibly think of, this is the greatest gift for the human sentient beings. And today, you presented this to the beings, to all the human sentient beings. Of all the offerings that you can think of, this is the greatest offering that you can possibly make to Buddhas, Bodhisattvas. And today, you made it. And this is the wisest way to extract the meaning out of life and give a meaning to your life. And today, you've done it. Amazing. So fortunate indeed. So meritorious. So fortunate. And it's all happening because of the kindness of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. As a gesture of thanking them, along with all the other sentient beings, let us slowly stand and make 3 prostrations to all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Please take a seat. Okay, so in this life we are very fortunate that we met with the teaching on Bodhicitta, the teaching on the emptiness, and being able to have the privilege of taking the spiritual sort of ground. But the question is, what about next lives? This is the question. So, there are 2 things that in our next lives. One, we come in contact with the teaching on Bodhicitta in order not to be separated from this precious practice. In the next lives, we should come in contact with the teachings, number 1. After coming in contact with the teachings, then the number 2 is that we rigorously engage in this practice. Oftentimes what happens is that some people they come in contact with the teaching, but they don't rigorously engage in this practice. For example, they say the 99% of the Tibetans, 99% of Tibetans, they are born in the Buddhist family. But how many they are seriously engaged in the practice? So less. So they come in contact, but they could not take the advantage of this contact. So many people, they don't come in contact in the first place. What do? Number 1. Then, so therefore, to come in contact with the teaching is so precious, number 1. After coming in contact with the teaching, then take the maximum advantage of that by engaging in this practice rigorously. That is so precious, 2. So how to make the contact is through very powerful prayers, number 1. After becoming in contact with the Dharma, then how to rigorously engage in this practice is through rejoicing in your practice of bodhicitta, in your study, reflection, meditation of the bodhicitta instrument, and rejoicing. So with the rejoicing, whenever you feel happy, you feel like doing it. So rejoicing it, this imprint you will carry to the next life. And whenever you hear somebody, you may be born again in the next life as a young boy or a young girl. And then in a non-Buddhist family. And then suddenly you hear somebody talk about bodhicitta. The moment you hear the word bodhicitta, it gives such a joy in you. It's so like you feel like you're coming home. What is this? It seems so familiar to me. It's all because that you are having had contact with this teaching in the past lives. And not only having contact, that you have generated intense feeling of joy over this practice in the past lives, that in the next lives you hear this word, there's a joy coming up. The cognitive process of the hearing this word, and then this feeling of joy is automatically glued. With this, joy will be triggered. But the joy is triggered, you just feel like following this rigorously. Okay, so for that matter, page 48. Page 48. The first stanza is to create connection with the future lives, with Bodhicitta and future lives. And in the following stanzas, the remaining stanzas, they are to feel the joy, so that in the future lives, one will rigorously go to the practice, rigorously practice the Bodhicitta meditators. Okay. Page 48, the first time. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even in the personal life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even in the personal life. Throughout my future lifetimes, may always be guided by the compassionate Buddha and be able to uphold the true precious Bodhicittas even in the personal life. Now to feel the joy over the Bodhicitta and also mindfulness, in order to further increase the Bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment have lucidly seized Okay, we'll read this once more from stanza 25. In order to further increase this Bodhicitta from now on, those with discernment who have lucidly seized and awakened mind of Bodhicitta in this way should highly praise it in the following manner. Today my life has borne fruit, having well attained this human existence, I've been born in the family of the Buddha, and now among Buddha's children. Thus whatever actions I do from now on must be an part of the family. Never shall I disgrace or pollute this noble and unsullied traits. Just like a blind person discovering truth and evil rubbish, likewise by some coincidence an awakening mind has been born within me. It is the supreme ambrosia that overcomes the sovereignty of death, is the inexhaustible treasure that eliminates all poverty in the world. It is the supreme medicine that cures the world's disease, is the tree that shelters all beings wandering in time of the path conditioned existence. It is the universal bridge that leads to freedom from unhappy states of birth. Is the dawning morn of the mind that dispels the torment of the disturbing conceptions. Is the great sun that finally removes the misty ignorance of the world. Is the quintessential butter from the channel of the milk of Dharma. For all those guests traveling on the path of conditioned existence who wish to experience the boundless happiness, this will satisfy them with joy and it shall place them in supreme bliss. Today, in the presence of all the protectors and by the world to be guests, at the festival of temporary and ultimate delight, may God's demigods all be joyful. Okay, discussion prayer. I dedicate the night with us gathered to pray the realization of these and the prayers of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas for 3 times, and to the whole world of doctrine and scripture and insight. And all life through the course of this marriage, never separate from the four ways of mind and vehicle, and accomplish all the stations of path, renunciation, bodhicitta, birth-related 2 stages. For my true collections, vast space that have amassed, from working with effort at this practice for a great length of time, may I become the chief living Buddha for all those whose minds with minds blind with ignorance. Okay, so the page 49, what we read is the last line, page 49, what we read was never separate, may I all life through the force of this marriage, never separate from the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle. So what for 4 wheels? You may be wondering what the 4 wheels are. And okay, just for information, the book that we are using, and this is now the book which we issue now. This is the same copy. That's the same book. This has in the end, there's the endnote, glossary. They're very helpful, and the fact that in French that we could use this is all because of Christophe. He put so much effort from last year. He translated all this to make sure that in this retreat that the people who depend on the French translation have the material at hand. So thank you so much, Christophe, for making this effort. I did not make the request. He took the initiative himself to make sure that the people who are dependent on the French language, they are benefited out of this. So he puts all this, just imagine, for me to compile this book, it took me like 12, 15 years. So the Christopher put so much effort to translate this, the part of this, what we have been using. He translated this into French. Not all, I know that, but what we are using now, that we are able to go along at the same pace, is all because of the Christopher's effort. And then I think the Guigello also helped the Christophe to make sure the page numbers are all same, right? So that look, this is the amount of effort put, the love that they feel towards all of us, to make sure that we read the benefit, the maximum benefit out of our being together here. Okay, thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Venerable. Thank you so much. Okay, so the 4 wheels. In fact, later on, I hope the Christopher will, translate this complete the book. So there we have the end note. Oh, no, I don't think this has it. Okay. Yes, this has. Please. So we need to fine tuning is required here. Otherwise, there will be all these the endnotes, glossaries. They're all there. And because the 4 wheels is not marked here with the number, so the 4 wheels. What are the 4 wheels? 1, in the future lives, to meet with the spiritual teacher, to meet with a very genuine spiritual teacher, number 1. Number 2, to meet with a conducive environment for Dharma practice. Number 2. Number 3, in this life to have enough merit accumulation. In this life to have enough merit accumulation so that the next journey will be the journey of the path will be smooth. And then number 4, the aspirational prayers, very strong aspirational prayer that will be connected with the Dharma in the next life. These are the 4 wheels of the Mahayana vehicle. To meet with a Mahayana teacher, a genuine Mahayana teacher in the next life, to meet with the environment form, the conducive environment for Mahayana practice. Then number 3, to have enough merit accumulation of bodhicitta system and emptiness. Then number 4, the aspirational prayers, very strong aspirational prayer to be connected to the Mahayana teachings in the future lives. Okay, that's it. 3. Okay. Delta Om Gati Gati Aragati Parasamgati Bodhiswatyata Om Gati Gati Okay, 3 prostrations.